Yeah, what's good, everybody? Hopefully, I did that right. Welcome to Jam Radio. Like how he covered his face as soon as I started the show. Was that like a cough or like a plan
I
thing?
was wiping my pomegranate blueberry V8 juice off of my lips.
Wow, you really do live in San Francisco now. If you're drinking pomegranate,
I love
whatever.
the V8 juice. Whenever they're on sale, I buy it.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I thought you were trying to hide too. This is Honzo Gonzo. People might know him from such things as doing production for all of your favorite fighting game events, probably ever. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you do, who you are, what your job is?
Hey everyone, I'm a producer at Tenno Media, and we do a lot of the fighting game events like Evo, CPT, TWT, DBFZ in North America, and a bunch of other stuff. We also do a lot of other productions for companies like Nintendo and some off-brand activations at some of these cons. We do a lot. I think we used to do at least 40 or 50 events a year,
Hmm.
which is, if you think about the number of weekends in a year, is a little crazy.
Yeah.
So we're really busy, and we're revving up to do a bunch of bigger stuff, but times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine working production for live events currently is a pretty weird spot, huh? Your guys' just, I guess, general work must have been hit pretty hard by COVID, yeah?
Yes, for sure. We're really involved with the Namco tours in regards to planning and stuff. So it's been interesting having to deal with all the fallout and making sure tournaments are understandably good with where they're moving or if they're canceling, and trying to restructure everything, as well as pivoting to more maybe online activations. Like we have Extra Life United coming up next month, and that's pivoted to be online. And yeah, it's a little odd because you're very used to traveling so much and kind of planning your life around it, and all of a sudden all the travel's not there, and so you're just kind of sitting here just like, oh well, what do I do? um, so yeah, it's a weird feeling, but I think we're pretty poised to be okay. So
Yeah, I was
uh,
gonna say, what like percentage, I guess, of the people who work in Tenno are pivoting to other things or are like gonna handle being online instead of in person? Because I guess like Tenno as a collective, a lot of you guys are mixed from all over the place, right? There's a lot of people in Tenno who are video game people. There's a lot of people who are sports people and from like outside of the FGC in general. So I guess they would have to just work on whatever's happening. I mean, there's not even sports happening currently, I guess.
yeah, some of the sports, depending on their teams, got a little lucky in regards to players and owners donating money to kind of help them. So that's good if they were affected by the layoffs. But some aren't, and they basically have to pivot to try and doing online stuff with either sports teams, like um, helping players do webcam shows essentially and stuff like that. You see it on ESPN where they do like a talking head style with
Yeah.
webcams and shit. People do help with that production remotely, and then also like maybe even getting into esports. Like a lot of our sports gals and guys have since done esports things. Not with us, but with other companies, just because they got introduced to it via us, and that's great. You know,
Yeah.
more work's always good. And then, in regards to how many people have to pivot, like 100%, like it's just like
Yeah.
you can't not do something that's typical nowadays. And thankfully, we did a lot of online things um, in the past.
Yeah, you guys have done a ton. You did a lot of the online stuff for like everything. It feels like all the tours plus I guess Geico, which was its own thing, and then Bud Light, I guess, the following year. But you guys have done a lot of online tournaments.
Yeah, it's mostly for Geico and Bud Light for Twitch.
Yeah.
But that gave us a lot of insights on to how to structure stuff, and it has made it a lot easier to like imagine pivoting to online things as well. And but yeah, it has affected some more than others in regards to like monetary changes, just because everyone's kind of banking on at least having a couple of shows because they're so big.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to hire someone to do those shows because I need people.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like before everybody had like those reliable gigs, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll for sure be at NCR and Final Round and CEO and Combo Breaker. Even like there was like a set amount of fighting game events that you sort of suspected to always occur, and then it seems like this year it's unlikely that maybe any of them occur, including Evo almost, right? Like, I think it's even as late as that, it probably won't happen or it might not happen.
Yeah, I mean, Evo hasn't made really an announcement about whether it's canceled or not, so who knows? But
Yeah.
everything's up in the air this year, in my opinion. So it's hard to plan around stuff like that. So, but yeah, if you guys are interested in helping some of our contractors, we do have a page on Tenno's website, tenno.gg/donate, and you guys can go help out some people who are affected, including tournaments like Michigan Masters, for example.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it had a lot of like a big effect. I think when people think about stuff like this, they think about maybe the tournament organizers, and then I guess maybe they don't think about production as much. Production is definitely a big deal. Photographers, there's people on their commentators, right? Like, it's a huge list of people that are affected by this kind of stuff. In our space in particular, I don't know how many people can really take a hit like as big as this year and like continue. I don't know about you, but I suspect a lot of people are gonna struggle this year and maybe even beyond because of it.
Yeah, if anyone ever asks me like what should I do, I always tell them you should find a side job, even if it's incredibly difficult right now. You should take care of yourself first before even thinking about moving into the space, especially now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for me, moving into production, even when it was popping, was very difficult. Just because of back then our amount of shows was much less.
When you say back then, you mean like what year?
Even like 2015, as early as that. When I was moving to more full-time stuff, it was still difficult to pay bills. I was just basically poor for a couple of years.
Me too.
And it's cool. I'm used to it, so it's not really a big deal. But I wouldn't recommend it for anyone else. I'd be like, hey, be poor for 2 years. Like, just be below the poverty line. Like,
and then it might work out okay, and then a pandemic will hit, and it won't work out okay, right? Like, that's like
Be smart. Go work at Best Buy or something.
Do something else on the side, yeah.
It's a much better thing to do. Not right now, I suppose, but.
Yeah, I was going to say, is your advice, I guess, for people who are interested in production in general, if they want to get involved, whether it's fighting games or anything, I guess it's probably, is that an important core of it? Is like, hey, if you're interested in this, that's really cool, but do something else while you pursue it. Like, don't just be like, I'm going to do production full time, like, unless you have it, something set and stable.
Yeah, I always recommend having another income. Like, that's for anything in regards to esports, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a commentator, you should have a supplemental income, like streaming every fucking day, like you do.
Yeah.
Or being a software engineer or something like that. Because then when these gigs either cancel or short money or whatever bullshit happens in esports constantly, you'll be fine. Like, it's not the fucking end of the world. Where if you don't have that income and a pandemic happens and you don't have that infrastructure to support yourself, you're fucked. Like, it's really hard. Like, you have to scramble, and scrambling is stressful, and then so it's like unhealthy for you. So like, it's just overall really bad. So that's why when I harp on content and stuff like that on the internet, it's important to do it if you're not doing anything else.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I was going to bring up. Before I get there, I was going to ask more on production. When did you go full-time, and what was it like transitioning from not being full-time to like, all right, I guess I'm going to do fighting game production, or I guess just production for Tenno in general full-time? And like, how has Tenno changed since then? Because as of like, I guess earlier in this year, you guys had the big studio announcement where you guys were like, hey, we're going to do stuff in Japan. We have a studio in Japan now. You guys have like Tenno in Europe now. So you guys have expanded a lot since then.
Yeah. So I think I lost my job at NCVA, Northern California Volleyball Association.
Well, you were a volleyball coach for an Olympic team.
Yeah, professional team, Olympic team, and I'm a certified volleyball coach. I would play.
How tall are
I
you?
just forgot the name. Libero. How tall am I?
Yeah.
6'9".
420
6 feet
pounds? Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
see.
6 feet 9 inches. No. Yeah. So I worked in volleyball, and that I ran a lot of the tournaments that would happen in Northern California, Utah, Alaska, and Reno. And these tournaments can get as big as, 120,000 participants. So
What?
no, they're huge.
I did not realize it was that many.
So running a tournament for 1,000+ teams, and then each of those members, 120,000 of them, had two parents, sometimes four, that would come and then be angry at you. So imagine having 200,000 parents at your booth being like, "Hey, why is the bracket wrong?" So there was a lot of infrastructure that we put in place there that made me understand how to run tournaments and stuff. So whenever I um, talk to people about tournaments, I don't really like flex it, but I've ran tournaments bigger than Evo.
Sure.
Not in the same vein, but yeah. So after that, I basically was like, I was on unemployment. I basically wasted 6 months, and then I worked at Pac-12 for a little bit with Seg, and then I hated the commute because it was like 3 hours. So I was like, you know what, I'm quitting, and so I just quit, and then I was just kind of sitting there, and then I was like, you know what, we have some stuff coming up. We have Wizard Worlds being coming up, and I was like, I guess I should just do this for now and see if something else comes through. I worked for social media for a couple of companies, and then I just kind of just kept doing it. It's similar how I got into production. I just kept doing it, and just like, oh, this is my life now. And
I didn't realize, is Wizard World that year, 2016 with Wizard World, that was the start that you were also going full time?
pretty much, yeah.
I didn't realize that, because I think for the commentators, for like me and Steve and Rip, like that was actually the same thing. It was like the Wizard World year in 2016 that made us all go full time.
Yeah, Wizard World is a big.
Damn, I didn't realize. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Definitely, and like I didn't have anything else going on at the time, so it was really good that happened. Especially since, like, yeah, if those Wizard World events didn't happen, I don't know, I would have to probably move back with my parents or something. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't know. But yeah, so I kind of just kept going into it, and how has Tenno changed since then?
Yeah.
I mean, drastically different. We're much more professional as an entity, and as well as we're so large now. We have over 100 contractors right around the world that we can call upon to activate stuff. And since then, we've activated giant shows, like giant shows not only for FGC but for other genres. So it's really cool to see how flexible we are, and it's really fun to learn in these other environments that I'm not professional in, like
Right.
going to a truck versus doing our fly packs is very different.
Yeah, when you say a truck, you mean a production truck, right? Like
Yeah.
parked outside the venue with a TV truck, people like super serious, like, yeah, very different than I think what people think of when they think about Spooky or somebody behind the a counter at like a fighting game tournament with a mixer.
Yeah, and we're really streamlining a lot of our processes, so it's very similar across our brands in regards to fighting games, which is cool. So there's not like that much inconsistency, as well as we have these studios now around the world. In Japan, you guys probably have seen Gina and Obama talk about them, and Gina play Bobby in the first whatever.
That was great.
So that's the studio we have in Japan, and we have another one in Europe, in London, run by the twins, Rich and Mark, and they're great.
They're lovely. Yeah, I love them both.
So we have those, and then this one below me is basically we're still renovating it, but with the COVID stuff, it's kind of
yeah,
hard stop. But it's honestly, I'm thankful that haven't opened it, because we would have to close it.
Like, yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of morbidly fortunate that it's occurred in that way, but yeah, we just grown as an entity, as well as we're handling bigger things, and it's cool to just bring all that back and then provide good service to the FGC, because at the end of the day, I only do this pretty much for the FGC.
Right. I was gonna say, like, yeah, now that you guys have kind of expanded, has your interest in what you guys do changed, or is it just like you like fighting games and fighting game tournaments and production, and so like if something else comes up in another genre, you're just down to do it, but that's primarily your focus, I guess?
Yeah. I at least for me, I'm really big into the FGC and making sure the FGC has quality products.
Yeah.
And because I felt like when I was a stream monster back in the day and watching Spooky, that he cared
Yeah.
about putting a valid product through, and then I saw people who didn't care, and it pissed me off. It's like, why the fuck are you there, right? Why the fuck did you fly 400 miles, set up all this shit if you're not gonna give a shit? Like, it's
Right.
but
That seems like a common motivator for most people to do whatever they do. It's like, wow, whoever's currently doing this I don't like or is not doing a good enough job, maybe I should do it.
yeah, and Seg says, I don't remember this. Seg says one of the reasons I got into productions because I talked shit about him and how his productions suck. But
I believe it.
I don't remember doing it. It sounds like me though. But yeah. Yeah, so I think it's a big driving force behind Tenno is being FGC centric, as well as providing crazy good opportunities for other companies to have this polish that they might not be used to. Because if you look at other esports as well as like activations, some of them are just bad, and it's not even their fault. It's just like it got too big to handle.
Sure.
Or it's ran by a company who just doesn't care, and it really bleeds through. So it's cool that we're pretty focused on providing quality and pretty aligned on that, I guess.
Yeah, quality, but also you guys work very directly with community streamers and community, like everybody in Tenno generally, right? There are some sports people who are in there who are learning. They know the trade, but they're learning, I guess, the scene. But you have tons of people who are fighting game people who are interested in production, and you like transform them into production people through tons of sheer effort and time and practice.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't even know the numbers. Probably like 99%. But 99% of our contractors and employees are from the FGC.
Yeah.
And we source people from FGC because they know about the scene, and it's really important to know about the scene. And when we're habitualizing the sports gals and guys, it's really important to get them to know the scene. And they've honestly done a very good job of understanding the FGC because of how, I guess, I don't know the word, entertain, how natural it is.
Sure.
FGC is kind of easy to understand after a certain point. It's not like, I don't know how to compare it. There's not a lot of like weird esoteric things going on that you have to like just accept.
Right.
Really.
Okay.
It's pretty much just people getting together and playing fighting games and then talking shit.
It's not very complicated. Yeah.
That's about it.
It's extremely surface level, actually, which is, I think, what makes it so interesting.
Yeah. And then in regards to the games are actually fairly easy to understand on a broadcast side, because when the other person's losing, and when they're going to die generally.
Yeah.
If they're low at health. And then when a KO is a good, like, hey, flashpoint.
Yeah.
They won the round, so that's a good like thing. But when you think about Dota, like, who the fuck is winning? 20 minutes of the game. There's like graphs and shit, and like it's just like
it was like the thing is swinging around the win rate and shit. Dota Plus, you're like, all right, I'm sick.
And you have OD Pixels talking like literally 4 miles a minute, and like you're just like.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's for sure. A lot of the replay ops, especially, I guess, for you guys are sports people, right?
Yeah, and we have trained FGC cats to move into that role as well.
I learned for 5 minutes how to use a replay machine and then immediately forgot. But yeah, it's not actually. It's one of those things. Yeah, Seg taught me randomly. He's like, you just hit this button, and he's just like teaching me how to like swing the levers and shit. So yeah.
Did I make you do it at DreamHack Vancouver?
I did actually capture a replay for the stream on DreamHack. Yeah, I'm a replay operator technically. I did a replay operating job, so yes, I can do it.
You put in your resume.
Yeah, you'd have to turn the knob and shit, and then you flip this one, and then you flip that one. Yeah, I got it. It's easy peasy.
Do you remember the venue for DreamHack Vancouver? How the stage was backwards?
Yes, I do remember that, actually. Yeah, that was Wait, you mean DreamHack Montreal?
Montreal,
Yeah,
my
Montreal.
bad.
Wrong Canadian city, but same idea. Yes. Where you went to the poutine place that was like super good.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you were dying there. I remember. Weren't you like you did not feel well? I thought you were gonna like collapse.
Yeah, I was sick.
Oh, gross.
I was just infecting everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At the table, is spitting
No,
all over
I
everybody.
think it was my stomach at the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's
because
better.
we ate at a mad good Jewish deli, um,
That's
in
right.
the morning, and I don't know, they poisoned my meat.
Yeah, I see.
Get this motherfucker.
Someone says, "What about the smoke machine at DreamHack?" That was a different DreamHack where you were
That
being
was DreamHack
suffocated.
Atlanta. Yeah, where they tried to murder me. And I don't get me started.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely part of the job is putting out fires as like a production company. So yeah, I mean you guys have pretty stressful. I don't think people realize how. To me, as an outside observer, working in production seems awful. You guys are just stuck backstage. You can't move. You're there for 12 hours a day doing the same job with like hardly breaks because there's just so much going on. People bring you food every once in a while, and you just do it for 3 days straight, and then you go home.
Yeah, it's
It seems awful.
It's a bit of a drag to do some of the jobs, for sure. And I've been through it more times than I can count. Is it bad? Yeah, but you kind of get into a groove and just power through it.
Sure.
And I'm thankful now that we have breaks.
Yeah.
We didn't used to have breaks. Back in a long time ago, there was no breaks. And if you had a minute break, people get fucking pissed. They'd be like sellouts and all this shit.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad that CPT has
6-minute ads on the hour. Yep.
6-minute ads, because that's standard for Twitch just across the platform. But CPT was really the one that kind of made it, like forced the FGC to get used to it.
Yeah.
Which is great because I mean some of our contractors are old and they need to pee every 5 minutes. So
Yeah, exactly. Spencer's in the chat talking about having to pee. To be honest, before that we were spoiled with how much content we got. Right, like currently the thing is 6 minutes of ads on the hour. Right, every hour there's 6 minutes of ads. Before that it was like just fucking like 5 hours and there's like no breaks and shit and it's just going. It's like all right, well.
Yeah, I will counter though that since we're so much more organized since the inception of CPT and stuff like that, that we do get probably more content because I remember so many of these streams. Well, it's one of the reasons that Martin's falling down after chairs being pulled and like all this other crazy shit that happened in the background. It's because there was no content for like 30 minutes because everyone was like, "What is a bracket?" And they had it upside down and was writing wrong names.
I do recall that, yeah. And I mean that's the kind of shit where we just sit there and we're like, all right, I guess we're commentators, we're gonna fill for 40 minutes. Hey Steve, how do you like cheeseburgers? And you're just like, fucking all right, I guess this is life now, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people see like at tournaments see me when I go out and try and organize things that are going wrong beforehand. I think people see me a lot doing that, and that's honestly to prevent filling and stuff like just sitting there and dead air.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to do at Evo.
Sure.
Because of all the moving parts in size.
There's like 9 streams or something like that happening. And
at the same time. And my first year producing that, I honestly failed at making sure the streams were good. But since then, we've improved drastically. And I think every Evo was the best Evo in regards to a broadcast standpoint on Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
From that,
which is normally what you're doing, right? Friday, Saturday is more you for Evo.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday I produce all the streams, and I usually have 9 going on at the same time, as well as making sure the tournament's going good and making sure the talent are all running around. I have people that are
you're starving us to death and no breaks. Yeah, like always.
Yes. Don't get me started, CJ.
Don't you get me started. I'll come over there right now. COVID be damned.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, and then Sunday they wheel me in as I'm a zombie, and I just sit there and produce Sunday half dead. But they just feed me Red Bull and Diet Cokes, and then make sure I'm not dead, I guess.
Yeah. What was the first year? The one you said the failure happened. Was that the Cheez-It year?
Cheez-It year.
Yeah, where you were in your hotel room.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, that's the one. I was just making sure it was the same year. I figured those 2 things must have had to happen at the same year.
Yeah. that hotel was so bad too.
Was that Westgate?
It was the one with near the convention center, right?
Yeah, in 2016.
Yeah, my fucking couch just had cum all over it.
Did it?
Yeah, and then that was the one where the black ooze would fall out of the sinks randomly in some of the floors.
I forgot about that.
Light fixtures were leaking.
Yep.
Just fantastic hotel.
Mm-hmm. It was a good time. Good Evo. I think your job was not the only thing that went wrong that Evo for sure.
Yeah, and that was the Street Fighter 5 year,
yeah,
which was massive for the time. And
yep.
I think a lot of things kind of went a little haywire, but I think past that and the years that since then have been so much better. Like I see the improvements every year, and it's great to think that. So it's kind of a bummer to think that this year, it might not happen, because I think this year would have been really, really good with Grand Blue and Uniclair having probably surging numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even that's the thing is, even if events happen this year, I don't suspect numbers will be very good for a lot of things, right? People just don't want to travel.
No, I think traveling for events is pretty much dead for the most part until like a vaccine comes out. And even then, I think there's going to be a stigma with some people that might just drop out. But then you were saying the other day that you think there's a lot of people are going to be mad hungry. And with travel deals and all this other stuff, they might surge. So.
Vacationers. I think vacations, post-COVID, when everybody has cabin fever and they want to get the fuck out of wherever they are, they're sick of their roommates or whatever, people are going to flee to travel to other places when airlines offer cheap deals, I suspect. But that's probably a long time from now.
Are you sick of your roommates?
No, my roommates are great, actually. I have they can hear me.
I know.
No, yeah. My roommates are great. This morning I woke up, my roommates made cookies. I was like, what? I went out to the kitchen, there was cookies. I was like, tight, this is sick. So I had some cookies for breakfast with my coffee. It was great. On the topic of that, I've been trapped in my room nonstop streaming every day, as you mentioned. Every once in a while on Twitter, your Twitter it's something. It's hard to describe. It is just really like you screaming into the void these absurd ideas that come to your head. But then very rarely you get very serious on Twitter. And when you do get serious, it's almost always pretty fascinating. And the thing you yell at people the most for is definitely content in fighting games. All the time. You're just always so miserable about what everybody's doing. And you're like, you guys all suck. That's my favorite thing, is you're just roasting people about how horrible their content is. And
I've never roasted people. I'll say I've never roasted people.
Like, as in the things that you've said are not roasting? Like, it could be meaner?
Oh, yeah. Definitely meaner. As well as, like, it's, like, I'm not mad when I'm saying this shit, maybe. Like, it's really, I'm pretty chill all the time. But... And if someone doesn't ask me for my advice, I don't like telling them what I think of their stuff, because I think that's rude, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Like, imagine if I just start typing hey, I fucking hate this. Just oh shit, sorry. And
professional producer smacks his microphone live on camera.
I'm Italian, so I gesticulate all the fucking everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if someone asks me, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
People do DM me about things, and I am very honest about it. And some people don't like it, but I mean, it's just what I think.
Yeah. What's the core of your frustration with fighting game content? Like, where does it start? Because I don't even know where it ends, but we should probably start there.
Where does it start?
Yeah.
I think that fighting game content creators should be a lot bigger than they are. They should be a lot more successful, and you do fall into that. You should be a lot more successful. Now, I'm not saying you don't put in the effort to be more successful, because clearly you do.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a whole, FGC should be a lot bigger, because I feel like the personalities in it are so great. We have so many great personalities, and I watch these esports streams like Dota or Runeterra or TFT or Dota.
Dota twice.
Yeah, Dota 2. And they're fucking boring. They're bad content creators. They just fucking sit there and just go, ah! They just smash on their keyboard, and people are like, this is great. And I feel like there's so much opportunity for FGC people to conquer this space. And we see it with Max.
Of course. I was going to use him as the shining example. It's proof that a fighting game content creator can be that big.
Yeah, and Max, to his credit, is incredibly dedicated and has a lot of skill in regards to video editing as well as content like creation.
Yeah. It is not just sheer force of personality and not just like, oh, he's big because he's Max. Like, people don't understand the amount of work and effort and time that goes into what he does. Like, he works himself mad with how he is so hyper focused on producing stuff constantly, and like that is a quality that he suspects, like, and desires to have.
Yeah, his stream has the best quality on Twitch, probably, just in general. And he pulls so many numbers at all times of the day because he has such a large audience around the world. So he's always supported whenever he wants to make his schedule now. So he really built himself into a very good place to survive literally anything. And not even survive, be incredibly successful. And he honestly, from like my standpoint, he just does what he wants to do to be happy. In regards to content, like he's playing, old Spawn games, like
with like 11,000 viewers, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and he's having a good time, doing this stuff, doing boss rages and stuff like that. And so it's great for him because he just wants to be happy. Eris actually put out a tweet today that kind of echoed this, where he was talking about taking down the tweet that from his website. And he was like, and he's been talking about on his streams lately, hey, I want to be focused on being positive and being happy, because you bumming me out is like, I'm coming to work and imagine 5,000 people telling me the worst thing that happened in their life. And it's just like, come on, I'm trying to like be, positive and be happy today. So he's been really talking about that. And it's weird because his chat is so toxic. And he's really fostered that, which is cool, whatever. But I feel like if you're feeling happy every day going to content produce, it's much easier and the quality is naturally going to go up, and you're going to care about it, and it's going to project to your viewers.
Yeah, I mean, it's in that topic, I talk about that all the time, about the best way to create content is not to create stuff that will get you a lot of views or to make money or, your sick, nasty, whatever, mixtape, no scope thing. Like, just make what you want, right? Like, I think that's the best advice I can give somebody. And also put time and thought and effort into what you create. It's not enough to just make, like some people are like, I love Street Fighter, so I'm going to play Street Fighter every day on stream. And it's like, all right, cool. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But if there's no additional thought or effort into how to improve your content and make it your stuff instead of just another thing that's the same thing over and over, you will never see growth. And on the topic of what you mentioned about growth in my stream and stuff, what I realized for me is when I had a massive surge of growth, which is now like when I stream Monday through Friday in my structured content, my stream is huge. It's like really big now for, I guess, compared to the rest of fighting games. And in general on Twitch, my viewership and watch time and subs have gone up a tremendous amount. And it was when I realized that I needed to put focus and effort into a certain thing on Twitch and make my stream unique to what I really wanted to do as a creator. And I think you talk about it all the time, but I think fighting game content creators really suffer in that they don't ever even put thought or effort into what they should create or how to do it or how to improve it.
Yeah, and there's so much you can do in the space that is just unexplored. And I talked about this on that Reddit podcast I was on, and I think you should not just do fighting games necessarily.
Sure,
I think doing other games is great because fighting game players don't necessarily only play fighting games. There's a few. But, in general, they're giant fucking nerds, especially with the new kids coming in. Jipes playing Call of Duty is fucking hilarious.
It is. It's his best content.
Yeah, it's just good. Yeah, and it's not to say when he streams Marvel 2 it's not good for a lot of people, but I mean, he has a whole nother audience now that watch him play Call of Duty. You saw Eris. Eris has like 4 communities technically.
Yeah.
He has Resident Evil, Dark Souls, Tekken, and now he random streams, I guess.
Yeah, stilt fella. Like he's the thing is, you brought up earlier Max and how big he is, and I saw people say like, well, people from outside fighting games watch Maximilian, and it's like, yeah, duh. Like my viewers are not only fighting game viewers. It's not like people only come to my stream because they like fighting games. They like all kinds of shit, and that's true for any creator. You don't want to. You necessarily probably don't want to pigeonhole yourself in one particular audience. And I'm sure that almost nobody only has that one interest, you know? Like your viewers will come from all over the place because they're just fascinated by your craft and the stuff you make, you know?
Yeah, so it's really cool that we're doing D&Ds every Tuesday, 7 p.m. twitch.tv/Sajam.
Yeah.
But that's great. Like that's a cool thing. You have another hobby that you're kind of putting out onto your channel and showing people, hey, I'm also interested in this, and then that enables people to be like, oh, I'm also interested in that. I want to go into his chat and talk about it, even if it's random. Like ever since we've done the D&D show, people come to my chat and talk about D&D all the fucking time, and I'm
Yeah.
always like, yes, let's talk about it because I'm very interested in it. But without that, you wouldn't have those people being interested in coming in to talk.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to broaden your horizons, as well as you were saying, not to hyper focus. I feel like people put out content that's very similar in very similar veins, and you probably seen this with your analysis stuff. People doing similar analysis videos to you, maybe even mimicking your style.
Definitely.
And I feel like that you can't have the same thing and not be incredibly different, or you can't have the same thing and not just be incredibly popular at the time. I feel like people try and use their name, maybe even subconsciously. I don't even know if it's deliberate.
Yeah.
But they use their name as a way to be like, why wouldn't someone watch this? I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Or this person is doing it with me. And that's bad. Like no one in the FGC has that clout. I'm sorry. No one does. Max does. Eris maybe. Even then, I don't think so. But like the clout amount that you need to carry a giant, a successful
on name only.
Yes, on name, no topics, no nothing is a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why you supplement that with structure, points,
and planning.
Planning,
structure,
quality.
planning, and like actual thought into what you're doing, right? Like you don't just show up and create it. What you mentioned about match analysis is true, because I realized there's a lot of things that I've realized people have taken because they've seen that my stream does well. For one, it never used to be match analysis. It didn't used to be called like, oh, blah, 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 I'm going to do match analysis today. And then I started doing match analysis and everybody's like, oh, I should do match analysis. That became like the thing, and the structure of it is very common. The other thing is I even noticed people copy my stream like thing when I go live. I always say, hey, stream's coming in hot. I say it every day. Every fighting game stream I see on Twitter is coming in hot, and it cracks me up because I'm like, okay, well, they've seen that something works, and they're like, something there. It's even like something that simple, right? That they just like take it, and they're like, yes, it's working for someone. But you have to put in, I guess, your own thought and effort into what makes yours special, right? There's a reason that like my stream is very popular, but not every other commentator is popular. Or there's a certain player's stream who's popular, but not every other player's content is popular. It's like, why is it popular? And what makes it interesting? And what are they doing that's different, about what they create and stuff? And yeah, to your point, there are professional players in fighting games currently who don't have work or money or like a job, essentially, because there's no tournaments, right? And they're streaming on Twitch, and they're huge players whose matches I'm watching on my stream to 1,000 viewers who have 20 concurrent viewers. You know what I mean? Like content is not that simple. It takes a lot of time and effort and really focus on what you want to do, and consistency as well. It's not just like, oh, I'm some famous player. If I stream, lots of people will tune in. Like there's not a lot of names that can sustain that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's really difficult in this climate. Probably less so now since so many people are watching.
Yeah.
And so many people are wanting people to support, I guess. To get past, like, there's like a threshold somewhere. I don't know the amount, but like getting past that threshold to start growing and stop plateauing. It's really difficult to force yourself to get past it. It's similar in fighting games when you plateau, just on skill level. It's fucking horrible when you plateau. It's bad. Like it's never great, and people give you advice, it doesn't fucking work, and you're just stuck at that level. And this definitely happened to me when I played Marvel, and I was just like distraught. I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Like and it's you have to push through it. There's no other way. Like but yeah, I see it as daunting for a lot of people, but I see a lot of people doing great. Not to be doom and gloom. There's a lot of people that are doing much better nowadays in regards to their content, and especially since online is the primary method that we have to do everything for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
There's so many people focusing on making their Twitter central point to push to other people to their own content, as well as promoting others people's content so they promote yours, stuff like that. I see a lot. And people don't realize that Twitter is a really big engagement tool. Like I had a video for my under night at nights. I had a video talking about game theory, and I put up a 20-second clip of, or like a 10-second clip of
Yep.
my video. So my video had like 500 views on YouTube. My clip has like 6,000 or 8,000 views, right?
Yep.
So there's so many people that see that and are now being like, oh, he does that. So you have to understand how many people actually see your tweets.
Yeah, it's huge. I think people underestimate like really small stuff. If you have a clip that's funny from your stream, you download the clip, right? Because it's your stream. You just download it off Twitch. You don't even need an external tool to download it and post it on Twitter, right? That right there will grow your engagement and click-throughs from people checking out the stuff you're actually doing to a tremendous amount. Like for me on YouTube videos, it's extremely noticeable if I ever advertise it on my Twitter with some kind of media and stuff like that. And it's not hard to do. It takes almost no effort to do this if you've already streamed or something like that, to have additional media and do that. And yeah, to your point, there are people who are doing very well, right? There are people whose streams and stuff have grown a lot. And you talked about that, I think, on one of your tweets that you're like, look, I know I talk shit all the time, but like there are people who are doing well, right? Like people brought up Hook and Yipes lately with his Call of Duty stuff, especially. He's been grinding a lot, and like Bum and To Kill Sage, Lord Knight. There's a lot of people that are in fighting games, and like Smug. Like there's tons of people who have been streaming a lot and making a lot of stuff and really focusing on improving. But it's definitely like you have to do something to separate. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people who don't really seem to understand that. And if you like, Brian had some tweets about this recently about fighting game content that's like, you know, people only ever in fighting games make like they play ranked or they do commentary, like what, you know, match analysis or whatever. There's a million other things you can do, and people are like, no, there's not really that much other stuff, blah blah. And it's like absurd, right? Because in every other genre, there's like the guy who does patch updates, right? There's the guy who has the really detailed patch videos that explain how everything happens. There's like the guy who makes funny skits. There's the guy who does parody songs about it. There's the person who does, you know, like there's like a million things you can do to really make interesting stuff around a game besides play it or commentate it.
Yeah, and these are gateways into like careers sometimes. Like I know, and you don't have to be good is the big part. You don't have to be good at fighting games to make content.
Yes.
I mean, I can go on Twitch right now and point out 15 really bad players that are probably have a lot of views.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You have to be dedicated and be excited about what you're doing, but also like this might be a gateway to do stuff like I'm thinking of like Slacks. Slacks is a bad player. He's a Dota commentator, but he really just produces. Yeah, he produces content for like the TIs, like fun content, like go talk to the crowd. What's your favorite hero? Meepo, weird, you know, shit like that.
Yeah,
and that's what he does. Like, and he's not a good player, but he made meme videos and did all this stuff and was invited, and he's very good at pumping out, you know, these funny pieces. For TI, so they keep bringing them back. You know, stuff like that being integrated into future productions is cool. And you know, at the moment, I don't know when that would ever happen for us to expand stuff like that for fighting game streams, just because it requires a lot of money. And
yes, it does.
Stuff like that. But stuff like, you know, it's good to push yourself to do non-standard things because no one's doing them, as well as if you enjoy doing it, it's invariably going to grow.
Yeah, and I think as far as fighting games go, there's a lot of people making fighting game content, but not a lot of people making a lot of different fighting game content. That is probably one of our biggest issues, right? Is we have so much of one thing, but not enough spread out. So although there's more people probably than ever trying to make fighting game stuff, I feel like it's not a very like deep field you're fighting against, right? Like if you want to make something that's very different, then I think that there's not like so much competition that you're smothered by our creators, you know?
I'll bring up my biggest pain point in regards to content in fighting games.
Yeah.
I think there's too much beginning content for, you know, players that are new, way too much. I understand that you have to supplement the games not having tutorials that are good enough to teach the players. I understand that. Pretty much all games need that in esports, and to be competitive, you have to have ancillary content supporting your game to get to that next level. But if people watch this stuff, they're going to be like, oh, I know it. They're never going to watch your streams again. So they're going to move on.
They'll just assume everything you do is beginner.
Yeah. As well as, like, there's no content after that. Like, there's really after the beginning stuff, since there's so much of it, for like the mid-level player, there's not that much. And then for the super advanced player, like, super dedicated, I'm top 10, there's no content. Like, what content is there for incredibly, strong players?
Right.
It's watching a match, like they have to seek it themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's so much in this space, this medium and high end range that um, is not covered. I think match analysis fits that to an extent,
Yeah, it does.
but it's not hyper focused on like um, spacing in this matchup. There's
It
not
depends on the it depends on the match. I think for me, like there are times where high level players will tell me that they really like watching my match analysis for any match when I delve deep into that. The other thing is when you do it on Twitch, sometimes there are people who ask beginner questions in that, and there are sometimes people who need the intermediate and advanced level stuff rarely ask it when I'm doing match analysis. They're mostly there to just watch when I'm talking about the match. The beginners are the people who will ask questions generally, and I think that's probably why beginner content is more focused. But I think you're correct that like intermediate and advanced content is probably the stuff that our top players are most built to create, but they lack maybe the content creation side of that token, right? And that's the part that like, they haven't built yet that they should focus on building, especially in this time, right? Like learning how to use basic editing software and write a fucking script will take you so far. Like it will get you to forever and beyond. Especially if you don't have the social or communication skills to make short and sweet explanations of things. Like you're not a commentator. If you ask me to explain something, it takes me 5 seconds to do it. If you're a top player to explain the same thing, you should write a script, right? Like writing a script and working on basic video editing will take you so far. It puts you ahead of like 99% of people.
Yeah, it's not hard to do either.
Yeah.
It's not hard to cut up a video, add a title.
Yeah. Make a thumbnail.
Yeah, and some content that I would be super interested in, just give an example. If someone just did matchup videos that were like 30 minutes long, telling me how to play a matchup that I'm interested in, like Gordeau. If someone told me how to play Gordeau versus Wallstein, a favorable matchup for me, I'd be super interested because I fucking suck at the matchup for some reason. Like,
right.
I ask players to give me advice and stuff, and they do, but I'd be really interested to see people put it together and actually watch it and see it in real time.
Like at this range, these are the moves that you're looking for from both characters, and this is what they're both trying to counter with. At this range, this is what they're doing. Up close, this is the interactions that like that kind of stuff is like very valuable, and yeah, it seems like it'd be a slam dunk, But like again, you need to put a little love in there. It can't just be you in training mode for an hour and a half with like no recordings, no script. What's up, guys? I'm here with this matchup. So in this matchup, oh wait, let me set them up. And like they have to like go, like I'm watching a video. If I'm watching a video and then you're like, oh shit, my bad. And you go back to character select in the video to reselect something, you've lost me, right? Like that kind of stuff is so common.
And especially another tip is if you don't get to the point within like 1 minute, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get to the point of the video within my attention span or I do not give a shit. I've seen some videos where I'm 30 minutes into this 2-hour video. They have not talked about what they're talking about. And I'm just like, what the fuck was I doing for 30 minutes, prior to this? And, I just tune out.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is a lot of people stress like condensing content, especially me. I always talk about like making things short. There is value in having long-term content. You just really have to know how to make it correctly. I think making shorter content is easier for people because they know like, okay, make it short and sweet, rather than if you have to do a 30-minute piece, not fucking up in that 30-minute piece and actually editing it down and making it bite-sized is tough.
Yeah, I love long-form content. Yeah. I always bring up WebDM, which is a D&D YouTube channel.
This stuff's awesome.
And they've grown so much since I started watching them, and they've improved so much. But all it really is two people talking to each other about a subject. That is all it really is. And guess what? It's 40 to 50 minutes long sometimes, and I'm interested the entire time. Why is that? Because that 40 to 50 minutes is so condensed with structure as well as they edit it, so it's really tight, and they have everything pretty much planned to talk about, so there's no dead time. So they're always talking about something, and it's always progressing in a very good like sequence. And
it always feels so natural, right? It's like they introduce the topic and then there's like a little cut and then it's like, okay, so what is this topic? You know, what are we getting into? And they give like some specific examples and then they get broad and then they talk about how like, oh, in a game that I used to play, this is how we used it, or this is how you could introduce it to your D&D game. And if it, yeah, like you said, the videos are quite long, but there'll be like a 30-minute video or 40-minute video and I'll just be watching it and I'll find it fascinating. And it gives me a ton to think about besides just like watching something short. It's great. And yeah, like a fighting game, long form content like that, I think would perform really well. I think our, in general, talk show or talking style segments in fighting games usually tend to perform well.
Yeah, and there's so many players with such great knowledge and have great personalities, and they just don't show it. And like these are the avenues where it's so easy to put it out, and you don't have to be as tight in a long form sense, but you have to put some effort in. If you don't put the effort in, then everyone's just not going to watch it. And these are the avenues for you to get sponsored too. These are the avenues for you to get an audience, to support yourself without events and stuff like that, and support yourself even without sponsors, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
Because if you base your life around a sponsor, guess what? Esports sponsors, they'll just fucking cut you. Yep. Like, just be like, sorry, we have a business. Bye. You know, watching out for yourself is great. You don't have to hold yourself to anyone.
Yeah, and you don't have to. There's also like the, you know, when you start to have sponsors, there's always like the kind of feeling of like, oh, this is a sponsored thing that they're doing. You know, you sort of lose, I think, a little bit of the charm maybe of having stuff that's unsponsored in your. There's just a fucking fridge behind you or whatever, and they're like, oh, he must really love it. He's got a fridge in the back, right?
I love when people are sponsored because I know
Me too.
that they're getting money for what they're doing and their lives are good. Because that's always great. I'm not over here being like, you should be poor so I feel better. Like, who the fuck? People are very much like that. Like,
that's what I mean. Yes.
These heinous people in chat sell out. No shit. Like, who the fuck wouldn't put $400 a month to put a fucking Red Bull fridge behind me? I'll put 6. Like, who cares?
Yes, I feel the same thing for me. Like, I'm very careful about even like, people have asked me to do sponsor streams and stuff, and I've said no for the most part because I'm very careful about who I choose to work with. But then at the same time, there's always that thought in my head, like, these motherfuckers are going to be like, oh man, he did a sponsored stream for whatever. What a sellout. And it's like, bro, I'm fucking trying to live my life. I'm trying to make money. I got to live, So I haven't done any, but yeah, that thought has always crossed my mind. Even if it's something I fucking love, like even if it's something that I shill all the time for free, like if they offered to pay me for it, I'm like, shit. Am I going to get a lot of shit for doing this? And like, it's just something you think about. I should just do it though. I fucking love Hydro Flask. Woo!
I'm the biggest Magic the Gathering fan in the world.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's
sponsored.
Yeah. It's true, right? It's like so interesting. But yeah, your points about content I think are great. And I think anytime you do rip apart someone's content, it is always very fair. And I think you do a good job of like highlighting, hey, these are your skills. This is what people care about when it comes to the stuff you create. Why the fuck aren't you using them in like tangent with this, in tandem with this, so that you can create something cool,
Yeah, I think a good example was Zaffarino hit me up like maybe 2 years ago at this point, a year and a half or something. And he was like, hey, can you check out my content? What should I do? And so I gave him a bunch of advice off of like maybe 5 minutes of watching his content. I was really busy at the time, so I watched 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, here's the things I saw, and he really did implement all of them. And I think a year later or 6 months later, there's a video up on my feed of Zaffarino, memeing with Sagat or something.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I should watch this. It looks funny. And so I watched it. I watched the video, and that was like 1-to-1. Like, hey, now I'm actually interested in the content, and I don't even play Street Fighter 5.
Yep. Yeah, Zaf stuff is awesome. He did a great job of like really. Yeah, he capitalized in a space I think a lot of people probably don't, which is like very funny, memey kind of stuff with that, right? And like when you think about the ranked streams that people do, really that space is dominated by like Smug, especially in Street Fighter, right? It's dominated by his, and nobody can really do the kinds of things he does in that way, or at least hasn't so far. But like there's rooms to be funny like that and just make an entertaining stream with that style of play in any game, right? And even like another good example that someone always brings up is Moopoke. Like, Moopoke shit is just Moopoke playing anime game, like Persona, with like his friends in a Discord call. And it's fucking hilarious. But like, you don't really get that kind of stuff on YouTube or Twitch, I guess, in fighting games that often. It doesn't feel like to me. Oh, Steve started doing it actually. Yesterday, Steve was streaming with STL people, with him in a Discord call, just like talking shit. And like I turned it on, and this guy was talking about how Hagrid was a Death Eater, and it was like Steve posted this clip on Twitter. He's like, "Bro, that motherfucker's 8 feet tall, and no one's questioning him. He's just walking around. Everything's cool." It was the funniest shit I've ever heard, and it was so good. I was like, "Man, Steve needed to be doing this 3 years. If Steve was streaming this 3 years ago, I'd be homeless. Like, there's no doubt in my mind I'd have no viewers if Steve had just streamed forever ago."
Yeah, I mean, Steve's such a unique case just because, I mean, everyone loves him. I
Yeah.
think everyone in the world loves him.
Yes.
So it's like, it's hard to be like, how can he not be successful? But yeah, I mean, everyone loves Steve. He should stream more. And he has been, to give him credit. He's been doing it at 2 a.m. though, which is a bad time slot,
Yes.
in my opinion. But, you know, he's getting like 300 viewers. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no one's realized the secret that you should just stream earlier. That's usually the time I stream is great. Like everybody gets home and streams after work or whatever at like 5 or 6 in fighting games at night and stuff. And I'm like, fuck that. Max is gonna stream soon. Air's gonna stream soon. I'm stream early in the day.
Yeah. Another thing I don't see a lot, which I'm seeing a little bit more maybe, and it's on the same topic, especially with times. No one really like has program blocks anymore. We did one with the show that sucks with 4 podcasts at the time. It was Cross Counter, Ultra Chen, and Best of 5, I believe. And so we had a content block where this was before hosting. So every time Best of 5 would end, they would send it to Ultra Chen would end, they would send it to Cross Counter, and they would send it to us.
Yeah.
Or I forget the order. But you know, was it followed 100%? Not really, but it was a cool idea, and it actually got us a lot of views initially when we were really small, because people would hear about it in these other podcasts, like, oh, well, I'm gonna be up anyways.
Yeah,
might as well go listen to the show that sucks, and that really worked out. And I really don't see that ever. I always talk about it, like no one really goes, hey, I'm gonna stream an hour after this guy, and he's gonna host me.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to host another person. You should go follow them. And then when they're streaming, they promote the other two.
Yes.
Stuff like that. I see it in Twitter. Twitter is very easy to cross promote. You just retweet.
Yeah.
But Twitch is just like an underutilized medium to do that. And I don't really see it. Obviously, you should always host someone in the FGC, in my opinion.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Just to pay the buck forward. But I don't see like a structured plan from some of these smaller gals and guys, just because I don't know. I just feel like people don't think about it, or they don't want to ask people. I feel like asking is harmless. Like the worst thing, they could say no.
Yeah.
You know? Who cares? Not hurting anyone.
Life goes on, right? It doesn't seem difficult. Yeah, it's like the NLBC to WNF handoff too, right? Like I feel like even that doesn't happen as much as it used to before. Although I guess they're both online now, so it's slightly different. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. For me, it's like pretty predictable that for my stream, Jeremy or Ringe always stream after me. So a lot of times I just send people there, but it's not like a content block. And I see what you mean. That is something that can definitely be better. And I think the thing about being a content creator too, like a lot like fighting games you brought up earlier, you gotta realize when the shit you're doing is either not right or you should change it because it sucks. Like this podcast, I fucked up. I should not have done it today. I'm an idiot. We should not be sitting here talking right now because I'm going to stream today and then I'm going to stream tomorrow and then I've streamed 7 days in a row and I'm just fucking tired. So I realized like for this, I'm stupid and I should build this into some other week stream, right? Is what I've realized. I should do it Monday through Friday instead of doing it on a weekend. And as a creator, sometimes you just have to be like, I fucked up. This is stupid of me. I should fix this, right? And I think that is something you should do often and like evaluate your own creations constantly to be like, am I fucking an idiot or is this actually something that's good?
I think a very valuable skill is to learn to realize when you fuck up.
Yeah.
Because some people are in denial or have such an ego that they're like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, for me, I fuck up every day of my life. So, and it's liberating in a way to understand that I get that and I'm growing through that. But you have to recognize that you're a fucking idiot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you're growing as a human, trying to respond to fucking society. So yeah, it's valuable to not let your ego dominate too much. I think it's impossible not to grow an ego.
Yeah.
to an extent, but yeah, you got to be self-reflective a lot of the times.
Yeah, this is my second podcast. The first one I did with Gerald, and it was late at night because of time zones and shit. I was like, fair enough. This one I'm doing today, and after 2 episodes, I'm like, I fucked this all up. I got the Anchor upload I did is all fucked up. I need to make a separate account to upload it and have it on other things. The time is all fucked up. The day is all fucked up. But it'll be fixed for week 3, which is what I've realized very quickly. I'm like, perfect. 2 episodes down. Don't even think about them. Episode 3 will be fantastic, right? And that's the thing is, like, I think both of the podcasts so far, I've been really happy with all of them. With both of them, right? I've been like, Gerald is an awesome guest. I was really happy to have you as a guest. I think people will really enjoy the things you have to say. But all the fuck ups are on my end, which is great because I'm like, all right, cool. That means everything else is fine. I just need to do everything else better, which is the busy work that I'm fucking trash at. I just sit down and do the thing, and then if it ends up being trash, I'm like, well, life goes on, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really bad with schedule.
Oh, you don't say.
Fuck off. In regards to my own content.
Oh, okay.
I'm a big hypocrite in regards to like my own shit. 'Cause I used to be actually big back in the fucking olden days, but I mean, I'm a big hypocrite. I don't fucking stream every week or anything. I have no real schedule and all this stuff. So I mean, do as I say, not as I do. And you can see how unsuccessful my Twitch is. I have 8 subscribers. Yeah, like don't be like me. Like don't do that. But I forgot my point, honestly.
It was do as
I think I just want to dunk myself.
Yeah, you're like, I fucking suck. I mean, it's important to recognize, right? Especially the good news is like I talk about it in Wizard World a lot too. Wizard World was a perfect example of us just having not a lot of viewers and a perfect opportunity to test all of our skills as commentators and entertainers and all, and obviously for you guys probably as production and all kinds of shit, right? Where like the stakes are a lot lower. I think that's something that's important to understand too as like a creator or a commentator or anything is like, bro, you gotta fucking, try some shit and see what happens and then fix it from there. I think a lot of people get like kind of content paralysis where they like really want to make something and then they got to do it so perfect and it's got to be fantastic. It's gonna suck the first time you make it. The first thing you ever create, it's gonna be the worst. I'm just warning you right now. Just do it and then pivot and like change what you're doing from there. So many people struggle to start, and I think like you just gotta fucking do it.
Yeah, and you can have an incredibly successful fighting game stream, have a talk show on the weekend, and still have autofocus going constantly off on the fucking webcam.
It's true, and no lighting, even though I just bought lighting recommended by a fucking lizard, and the lighting, I hate it, and fuck you piece of shit.
So you could be this successful and still have errors. It doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Eris's webcam doesn't even work. It's green.
Yeah, I mean that's part of his content, but yes. His laziness has molded his stream.
Genius. I mean, it's like me having a closet in my background. People were like, if you move and there's no closet in the background, I'll murder you. Like they were very serious about this.
Yeah, I've seen that in other streams actually. Like people having like weird, like up and coming streamers for like these new auto chess games and stuff like that. They have like a weird CRT in the back that's just like odd. It's like, why is there CRT? He's like, oh, it's not plugged in. And it's like, he's like, I'm gonna move it. I was like, no, don't move the fucking CRT. And it's like, what? Like,
it's like Eris's ceiling fan that's all fucked up and has like one different random fan blade that like doesn't work. It's a different color.
Yeah, there's definitely some personality with fucking up, I guess, that kind of molds your stream to an extent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any final thoughts on content and what people should be doing more? Any messages for people who want to make shit out there? I feel like I yell at them all the time, so a different voice is always nice, even if the hands are flying all over the place hitting mics.
You should create good content. And I know people have been in my mentions talking about, well, any content's great. Sure. But I'm not going to watch it. Like, I mean, I'm not going to watch the shit content. And so is not everyone else isn't going to either. So I think you should focus on creating content first and then make it good. So if you're not striving to make it good, you're fucking up.
Right.
Like you need to put effort in and actually have a plan on how you're improving week to week. So every week is a new opportunity to become more successful. And I know that's like some seminar bullshit I just said, but it's true.
It is true.
And I just don't want to. I don't like seeing lost opportunities and then bemoaning the fact that you lost the opportunity when you really had it. There is opportunity.
That's the fighting game special for sure.
Yeah, there's opportunity. There's opportunity to win that matchup. You just suck. Like
Yeah.
there's so much opportunity going around the genre at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And esports as a whole and Twitch as a whole. Um,
It's like
that
a gold rush that you have to put in work to get, and like, you have to be lucky and also create good stuff, and also, it's a combination of things. But I feel like, yeah, I agree with you. There's a ton of shit out there that you can do, and like for a long time, I've always felt like there's so much that people are not tapping and like getting into that. For me, I have no interest in doing it, but like I'm like, dude, if somebody else, if this was their interest, I have to imagine they would crush it, right? Like when people tell me in fighting games, they're like, oh, this thing I want to do, I don't think it would do well, or I don't think like it's something that people want, or it would, is worth creating. I'm like, bro, nobody's fucking doing that. And if you do a good job, people will love it. And like, I don't understand why it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the luck phase has really stopped. I think it's gone. I feel like
maybe
the lucky ones, they did it. They got the opportunity and they struck when it was hot. I really don't think luck. Maybe a new fighting game is another luck point that you can maybe get.
Sure.
But for the most part, I feel like thinking about being lucky is bad.
Yeah, I don't really ever think about it either.
I think you're like, well, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm just not lucky. Or you're like, I'm going to wait until the perfect opportunity to start doing. I saw this with my 2018 tweets I did where people were like, MK11's coming out. I'm getting on it. I'm going to be doing stuff before the game comes out and all that stuff. Didn't do shit. And I saw this with Granblue's coming out. I'm going to, start getting into the lore. I'm going to understand the game. Didn't do shit. They should have been doing stuff back then. Like, why were you waiting? Like,
the thing is, the people who did stuff for MK and the people who did stuff for Granblue already will be ahead of you because they're creating now, and their audience will follow them on in the new game. Like, the later you start, the less time you're giving yourself to build up a community and or an audience. The skills of creating, right? Like, it's not you just start and you just know exactly what to do. Your stream's great, your audio's great, your video's great, camera doesn't auto fucking focus, whatever, right? Like, these things, they're gonna happen, and unless you continually work at improving, like, how could you even predict these things? Right? You have to start creating now if you're interested.
Yeah, if you're interested in the Riot game, you should be starting now. If you're interested in Street Fighter fucking 7, you should be starting now, right? Like, there's no excuse, honestly, and everyone has all the time in the world right now. If you're really interested in it. And my other thing is, if it's not working out and you have financial reasons not to do it, don't fucking do it. Take care of yourself. Why? Yeah. It's not good to not take care of yourself. It's stupid to not take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And there's other factors you need to address them and have people help you address them too.
Yeah, the rise and grind mentality. It's like, you got to wake up, rise and grind every day, no breaks, work toward, get that bread. That shit is so stupid. Hey man, if you got shit in your life to take care of, focus on that. When I started making shit, I was in high school and I was doing it for fun, right? That's like the reason I started making shit. I made YouTube videos for like 5 or 6 years, never with the goal of making money or whatever. It was just a hobby that I had for forever. And eventually it did turn into what I do for a living, but not intentionally until a point, right? A point where I recognized this potentially could be my living. But I never created with that intention before that. I just wanted to make cool stuff that nobody else was making, or I thought people were making badly. And yeah, I think that there are people who are like, fuck it, I'm going all in, bro. It's me, esports now, I'm all in there. Like, dude, you got to build up a reasonable, like, I guess, like, falling point, where you're comfortable with it, you have income to sustain yourself, you have maybe a side gig to do until you're full-time, whatever, right? Like, and also don't rise and grind fucking everyday new me, hashtag get that bread, whatever. Man, just work a reasonable amount, take breaks, and do what you can. I'm not gonna stream like Monday, I think, because I'm fucking tired, and I'm gonna stream 7 days in a row with like 8 or 9 streams in a week or something. I'm taking Monday off because I'm an idiot, and I'm doing this today instead of yesterday. So be reasonable with your health and your mental health, and don't fucking go nuts to like create all this cool stuff and then burn out or some shit. Like, be reasonable.
don't ruin your life.
Yeah.
And people are maybe are new to the scene or stuff. They'd be like, oh, do people actually do this? Yes, people quit their jobs to go live in a fucking crack house for a game before, right? Like, this shit happens. Like, it's
Yes.
not uncommon.
Hmm.
So it's a good thing to stress for a lot of these kids. Street Fighter Five has so many kids that play the game,
Hmm.
and now we have even newer games with Dragon Ball and Grand Blue. Um, they're coming into the scene, and it's really important to recognize that they're impressionable and that they see these old people fucking ruining their lives in some cases, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, it's not fine. It's just not. So, take care of yourself. Hey, when are we talking about fucking D&D?
Oh shit! Did you want to talk about D&D? What'd you roll?
17.
Yeah, the D&D show's been fun. I think it was. Yeah, we've been playing for a long time, huh?
I don't know why I blurted that out. I think it's great. I think doing D&D is cool, and it supports the whole content thing,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people are super interested in watching it. We get really good viewers, which is
Yeah.
fun.
Which it's absurd to me that actually how well the D&D show is doing on both like YouTube and Twitch. I didn't know how the interest would be, especially because I feel like our D&D show is solely watched by fighting game people and not like we haven't there's no like spread into the D&D community really, I think in almost any way for our stuff.
I actually researched a lot, partly because I watch them, a lot of other
Yeah.
tabletop RPG shows and stuff like that, and like a wide range, like even the lower end ones and the high end ones. And it was staggering to me that there was so little viewership for a lot of these other ones. And you know why? It's because they were kind of bad quality and they were very unstructured, very
Right.
similar to the FGC problems that a lot of people are having. Other genres have this, and guess what? They're not as successful as these big names, and they get very overshadowed. It's
Yeah.
very similar. So if you put in a modicum of effort, even in a space that is different, like D&D, you will be successful because these other successful ones are insanely
Oh yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
Like I listened to a podcast, not another D&D podcast, has 34,000 patrons for at least $1, and in most cases it's 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So that's every month that they're getting that.
Yeah.
So, and Kirk Roll is the highest subbed Twitch account, as well as has an Amazon show, multiple seasons in production.
They got like 10 million on their Kickstarter or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this other genre isn't super successful, and other people aren't succeeding in the same way as fighting games. So even with the fighting game personalities, you can take it and be successful in that other arena. Similar to Yipes and Call of Duty, we keep bringing up the Call of Duty streamers. If you go look, there's a few high end ones, but there's a lot of lower end ones that just do not get views, and there's a reason for that. And you have to recognize that reason. If you want to go into that space, you should be utilizing your skills that you've harnessed from the FGC as well as the audience, and then just force your way into it.
Yeah, and also in our sense, I think we cared a lot about doing it right? Like we really wanted the visual to be good. We really wanted like the art and the layout. We put a lot of time and effort and thought into that. And then the other thing is, it's a good example of like people say this all the time. We're gonna play D&D anyway. We're fucking nerds. We play all the time, right? We had a campaign go from 1 to 12, and we played that whole time. And when we finished, we were like, should we continue like with this campaign? And people were really interested in us streaming it. So people asked for it, and we were like, yeah, we should fucking do it. I guess we should stream it, right? So we started a new campaign just to do that. We were going to be playing D&D anyway, right? Like this is something that was going to occur anyway. It's a common interest we all have. Like, fuck it. Yeah, I mean, we can stream it. It doesn't seem like it's, too much of a hassle. So it's a commitment, right? It's a lot of money and effort into creating the visual for the show and making, everybody's got to be in the same place, same time every week, which normally we plan different days and stuff. But like, yeah, it was something I think we were all interested in doing. And I think like it doesn't matter what the viewership is like at all.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think any of us really care. We just want to create it because we think it's fun and it's sick. And if like 100 people think it's awesome, then I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I really like the amount of engagement, like not necessarily the viewership, but like people being like coming into streams and be like, hey, I saw you on that thing, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I really like that, not because people know me from fighting games. Probably your audience, I don't know, maybe not as much because they're probably younger.
Yeah.
But being called out for D&D, like another interest of mine that I never get recognized for because we never broadcast it or anything.
Yeah.
It's just always like, what?
It is a very cool feeling. And like the thing as a creator, like I think a lot of people obsess over numbers and impressions and engagements and stuff. For me, like I know in the middle of the week, my streams that I built Monday through Friday will perform a certain kind of way, and I sort of expect what the viewership and engagement and subs, all that kind of stuff will be. I don't expect the same thing for my D&D show or my brand new podcast, right? Like those things aren't going to perform as well. They're going to take time to build up. I don't care about the viewership. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is perfecting what we're producing and improving it and making it as good as possible and making the experience for the people who do like it as good as possible. You know what I mean? Like I think people obsess over the numbers a lot. I see people who are like, I have to stream this game every day because if I stream something I want to stream that's fun, my viewership's less and like I'm gonna suffer. And it's like, dude, just do what you want. If it's really what you want and what you care about, don't hyper focus on the numbers so much. Like if it's you can't make a living off of it and you make a living off the other thing, then maybe. But yeah, in this case, I don't really worry about it.
I see it a significant amount in other genres where, especially newer ones, like let's say Legend of Runeterra or auto chess games, where they get very popular, sometimes even sponsored for this content, for getting 1,000, 2,000 views every day, and they'll lament the fact that they can't do anything else every day. Like they really have to do this to be successful, and you kind of you're kind of like losing a year of your life in some cases, which I'm sure people have a monetary value on a year of their life, but it seems awful to think like that. But they really have to sacrifice their life doing something they really don't care for anymore. And I just don't think it's a good idea.
You got to pivot. At least start doing 3/4 stream of one thing, 1/4 of something else, and then make it like that's what Hook does, right? Hook doesn't play Dragon Ball all day. He's a good example in fighting games. He streams other shit on his stream, and he's got 800 viewers watching him run in circle in Bloodborne because he's awful and he doesn't fucking attack the enemy. And it's like, all right, well,
yeah, that's a great example.
It's just that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah,
cracks me up. I did see a few Honzo subs in the chat, by the way. There's a few loyal ones still here. They watch Under Night at Night every Monday.
Not every Monday. What
is wrong with you, you piece of shit? What are you just wallowing in your own filth? You can't stream?
Yes, first off. Second off, I couldn't handle PSN Under Night. It was destroying me, so I just stopped playing it. I didn't play for like 2 weeks. I will report that Uniclair has come out on PC. It has a discount now. It's $25.
Oh, nice.
And the netcode is pretty much the same as Unis on PC, which means it's good. It's fine. I shouldn't say good on this channel, or I'll get
to the wrong place, motherfucker.
Shoved up my asshole. But it's fine in comparison to PSN. PSN lies about connections, so it's really hard to matchmake. The thing on PC that's good is the matchmaking, understanding when there is a higher bar connection. I can't say good connection.
Pick your words carefully. They don't know you have to sign the document before you get on here about not talking bad about rollback or you get murdered in the town square.
Yeah, there's going to be a guillotine outside my fucking house.
Yeah, it's on the way. It's rolling over as we speak, alongside the million candles you're hiding downstairs.
Hell yeah. Rollback netcode is fine.
I was ready. I was about to murder you in this place. All right, well, where can people find all the shit that you do in life and pursuit of happiness and all that kind of stuff?
Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., twitch.tv/Sajam. You can find me on the D&D show. You should go to tenno.gg. I forgot fucking what.
Do you have a link to that? I think we can probably put that in the YouTube description.
I can throw one in there real quick.
As well. Moss is pretty,
donation. I'm so bad. Sorry.
Oh, Tanman linked it. Is Tanman? Yeah. My roommate works for you. Also, we're in this house slaves to you, I guess. It's awesome.
I wouldn't use that term.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm sure Moss can throw that in the description. And then he usually gathers all the social media. You don't want people to follow you on Twitter.
You cut out mad bad, but don't put my Twitter in the YouTube description.
That's what I said. Yeah, you don't want them to see your Twitter.
No Twitter. Don't follow my Twitter. Unfollow my Twitter. That's what I'll say. Don't fucking follow me.
Your Twitter's great, actually. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on the show. I appreciate you. I figured a lot of people were like, who the fuck is Honzo? When I said Honzo was going to come on. Or like, why Honzo as a guest? But I think you have a lot of very interesting things to say. And I always like chatting with you, especially about things when, you're serious. I think non-serious Honzo is hilarious. But serious Honzo actually has some very insightful and fun things to chat with. So I was happy that you agreed to come on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Come on and talk about content for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was very nice. Thank you guys for all tuning in and saying what's good. I'll get this uploaded somewhere, some way, somehow. I know what I need to do it correctly. It's just, I got Animal Crossing to play, so I'll get it done. Thanks everybody for coming through. I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. We have another podcast, Afternoon Tea, and then I'm gonna collapse and pay Tom Nook back. So you guys have a good one. I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Go follow Honzo on not his Twitter and follow twitch.tv/Sajam on Tuesdays instead. And I'll catch you guys around. Peace. Are you gonna stream?
No.
Oh.
What do you think I was gonna ask? Hey, you fucking send them.
The answer's no, bitch.